Welcome to Limitless by Gray, the podcast that empowers you to break through your barriers and unlock your limitless potential. Hi guys, it's your girl Hauwa. Welcome again to the 4th episode of Limitless by Gray. Today, we're going to be talking about something really interesting. We're going to be getting into what it feels like to go from 0 to 100, back to 0, and then to the ultimate 100. Today I have a very, very interesting guest, and I cannot wait to introduce him to you guys. His name is Scott Eneje. Welcome, Scott. I find your nickname very, very interesting, Lord Morpheus. Can you just quickly gist me why you chose that name?
Okay, first, I've always been into Greek mythology, and Morpheus is Greek.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's the Greek word for dream, or the god of dreams. So I've always liked that mythology, and at some point I became known as the guy who dreams, who always wants to achieve the impossible or talk about things that don't make sense. It kept growing and growing, and then I had this habit of, I would say, okay, if I wanted to mentor anyone, I wanted to do it subtly. So I would talk about subtle influence, where you don't have to believe I'm the one influencing your decision, but I want to be the one influencing your decision without you knowing. So people who found out started saying that's you give people dreams, and then the name Morpheus came with it, and it just stuck. So
that's really sneaky, but in a really inspiring way, because you're I want to give you the ideas, but I want it to look like it came from you,
because it's better that way.
That is such a PR thing to do. So I don't even need to tell you what he does, but I'm going to anyway. From the story that you just gave me, it's quite clear. But Scott here is a tech founder and also an entrepreneur. He's done so many things that we're going to get into in this podcast. And he's also managed many multi-million-dollar ventures. Am I lying?
Well, no. Really.
Exactly, I'm not lying. So I think that we're going to have so much fun on this podcast getting into your journey, because I think that what you've achieved is so interesting. And when they tell you that, you have to fail to succeed, some people, they don't really show you the failure. They just tell you that, you have to be comfortable with failure. But most of the time, they don't go into detail. So when I was reading about you, I saw that you were the co-founder of Yandy, and your journey was just really very, just
dramatic.
chaotic.
Yes.
Just chaotic. Would you like to, share the story from the beginning?
Okay, the Yandy story?
Yes.
Okay. Very interesting story to start with. I remember, I think it was 2012, 2013, 11. So I don't know how much of my story but in 2011 I dropped out of school.
I didn't know that.
Yes, after spending 7 years to get into school.
Wait, 1 second. You spent 7 years trying to get into school.
Yes.
And then
I got into school, and a couple of years later, I became a dropout. The Nigerian thing happened to me, where after a while, they tell you you're under false admission. So I had to drop out. So that was me. And I came down, and I thought, I was going to keep busy. I didn't want to, because every other person was going to make you feel bad. The one thing you don't want to do is make yourself feel bad. It doesn't mean I wasn't feeling, but you just wanted to get rid of it, right? And because of my kind of upbringing, it's not like I had access to anything to be addicted to take me away from it. So I had to face reality every step of the way. But work became my addiction, and in gaining knowledge became my addiction. What can I do? How do I keep busy? What do I learn? So I started learning. I was already into tech, and I've been practicing while in uni. So I decided to take it full time and learn how to build websites, different programming languages. And I remember after doing that, the next thing was trying to convince people to give these dropouts the gig to build their website. And you would talk to everyone, the rich, the middle class, the poor, and everybody would, treat you the same way, because at that point you're the poorest of the poor. So you don't have anything, you don't have a degree, you don't have a job, you don't seemingly have a life. So then I remember I was begging this person to let me build their website and not pay me, because I just needed to prove that I had one portfolio, something. I told them, just buy the domain and host. Let me build it for you. And it was a big company. I just wanted to do it. And this person made me show up at their office every day for 2 weeks. And they would be upstairs and they would come down and go, oh my goodness, you're still here. They should have told me, come tomorrow. And then I would come the next day. And it was like that. And at some point, my dad said, you're not going anywhere. Sit down in this house, because he was losing his mind. And this was supposed to be like one of his friends. So it was in that pursuit. One day I visited a friend, a store, and I remember we were just chit-chatting and someone came in and he started telling the guy how I build amazing websites. I had no website to my name at this time. And he was telling this guy is an amazing website developer. He can do and undo. Like, I was okay with the beginning of the lie until like the lie started getting very serious. Like, he can build anything. I was like, okay. If this pulls through, that would be trouble for both of us. But, but I kind of played along with it because you want to convince everyone that you can do it. And the guy goes, okay, fine, sure, I'm going to give you a web gig. And you know what? I'm going to pay you 30,000. 30,000 for a website? Yes. And, I was really excited because I was going to get my first web gig. I was going to get my first pay from it. And it took another 4 months. The guy never got back to me. Like, he would go, don't worry, we'll build it next week. So this kind of made it seem like it was not going to happen. And I took a teaching gig, and it was one of my mentors who pulled me in, because everyone would think as a dropout, you can't do nothing. But this person believed in me. Her name is Mrs. Okereke. And she said, come teach at my school. She wanted me to teach people SATs and the WAEC exam and JAM exam, and like something that took me years to get. And now I'm a dropout and you trust me to educate people. So like that trust kind of helped my confidence that, okay, if this person with this repute can believe that I could do this, maybe I'm not like crap as I was thinking. So I was doing that, and this guy 4 months in calls me and goes, I still want a website, but you have to come to our office. And I was like, nah, you just want to play me. I'm not going anywhere. And the guy kept going, no, it's very important you show up. And, just like push him away, because now I had the job. It wasn't like paying so much, but I had something. He goes, I go, I can't come, but I could send you my assistant. I did not have an assistant. And I go, I could send you my assistant. And he goes, okay, sure, your assistant can come, but you really need to come yourself. Like, now I'm busy. My schedule is booked, I'm booked. I didn't have nothing except teaching. And
not you bluffing your way.
I was trying to just get it out of the way because I didn't want to take it. And I called my brother up after he goes, send your assistant. And my younger brother was in school at the time, but he was back home for the holidays. And I called him and I go, hey, I kind of told these people I had an assistant and I need help. Go tell them that we build website, learn everything you need to know, and go make the pitch. He went, he made the pitch, they loved it. We were gonna just like call it ridiculous amount to scare them because they now look too serious, and instead they went for it. I was like, sure, and they cut the check, called me in. Next thing I know, a couple of years down the line, that same person said, hey, I want us to start a company together. And that's how I sort of started Yandy with this person and my brother. There's like a lot in between, but it was like that first job, that first person I met that became my investor, and we started an e-commerce company because we had been building several websites after that together, and that just started. I guess I can get to the rest of the detail.
Yeah, but it's very interesting how you bluffed your way through. I mean, I know you said you were not really interested in taking the job or the offer, but your brother went there and he killed it.
Oh, yes.
And you came in, and now you now founded the company with the guy. So what then happened after Yandy started?
Yeah. That was a good road to a high I wasn't prepared for. Yandy was one of the biggest lessons of my life. Not because it was like all bad, but because it showed me what not being prepared for certain heights can do to you. When we started with the idea to provide e-commerce, I was fully into tech at this time, so I was considering just like the technology of retail tech. And there were other e-commerce companies like sprouting out and about, and they were big. We just kept looking at their tech, and we went, nah, it could be better. So we kept putting energy into the tech, but we knew nothing about business. We knew nothing about like running a tech company in the country. And I remember our investor who was funding us would go, hey, I sent you guys money, buying amazing shares. You guys should make your office look really good. And we'll go, okay, if that's what we need to do. Like, now I would wish we did something else with that money, but we like set up this expensive looking office with this fancy, fancy stuff that we didn't need to buy, and we had computers we didn't need to get, without really like taking stock of what we needed to do to set the company, like to put a solid foundation, right? And at this time I was back in school anyways, because now I had the means to like send myself back to start school again. So I was in school and I was running the company, and I remember after we were done with the tech, because we didn't have like a proper business strategy, we had people who were supposed to be our vendors. Like they didn't know us, couldn't trust us. We didn't have trust in the market. They would go, okay, you know what? Instead of us giving you the item, we can keep some for you with us, but when you need them, you have to pay. Now, what that means is you need a large operations like budget to be able to like buy when people order and then deliver to them, because we were trying to run a pay on delivery system, so no money will come until it's delivered. We had several cases where people would order large items, and then we would take money from operations, go buy them, and go try to deliver, and those people won't exist. Like the people who order would not exist. Nobody would be there. It was nuts, and it happened several times. One of the worst scenarios was this guy who ordered like I think 5 iPhones, and iPhones were like really pricey, and he said it was for himself, his wife, and his daughters. And we're like really excited. If we sell 5 iPhones, a lot of profit, because the profit was good, And then I took like 1 month plus of salary, from the expense, operations expense money. And then I took it and we, bought the phone. We called the guy several times. Are you sure you want the item? Will you be available on this specific date and everything? And he said, yeah, sure. On the very day, he even called us to go, he's expecting us. When are we coming? And we're like, we'll be with you shortly. So we felt like, yes, this guy was going to pay, and we take the phone, we get there, it's this empty warehouse. We kept calling the number, the person stopped picking, and like the guy never picked up for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So obviously it was gone. The vendor said they're not collecting their items back because it's been with us for a while, and that's so it was stuck with us, and I had already spent like people's salary buying this item. So I think that was like one of the crazy mistakes I made. And it just, when I think about it, it's just I realize business is not all about, hey, I have this thing to sell and there's someone to buy. There's like a process. There's a lot of education that I didn't get then, and it kind of crushed me. And then you have access to money without training. That's another problem, because you just feel like the money is there. It's always going to be there. The first time we got the first set of funds, I remember looking at it, it's like, I had never seen that many zeros before in my life, and then you had access to these zeros, and someone tells you, yeah, it's your signature that would like remove that money. Like, for real? And then you go test it out. You go to the bank and you sign and see if they will arrest you, and they don't arrest you. Like, this is mine. Like, if no one prepares you for that, no matter how humble you think you are, it gets to you. Really? Because you just tell yourself, yeah, I'm going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Oh, I made $1 million before, I can make it again. And you get careless. Yeah, it happened to MC Hammer. Obviously, it can happen to anybody, So, like, that was like my biggest takeaway from Yandy. You could have all the money in the world. You could have the best idea. You could be the most intelligent person in the room. If you were not competent in the industry you're playing in, it would mess you up. There's a level of intelligence that is required. Another thing I learned was employing the wrong people. You have that kind of access, you have that kind of money, and you think, well, we're the ones building, we don't really need so many people. So your cousin goes, I need a job. Yeah, sure, come on, sit here. You know what? Do you know how to make phone calls? You are now customer service. And someone else, calls you from church. My daughter has not had a job since she graduated. Don't worry, I got you, mama. What do you want your daughter to be? Oh, sit here, you'll be business dev. Like, you don't think that those things require so much intelligence. You just go, you just make calls. And I remember one of the incidents was where customer service was yelling at a customer, like, what's wrong with you, Seth? What is it? What did you buy? Like, oh my God. What? And they don't tell you how important this is, because in retail tech today, one of the things we've come to see is that customer retention is the most difficult thing to do. And interestingly, it's the best thing to do, because if you can retain customer, it's cheaper than trying to get a new customer. Right? Because that one person will tell 10 people the bad experience. Those 10 people who know nothing now have gossip for 10 persons each, and the world will just keep escalating, and you can do all the commercials you want and no one will buy. So like, those were lessons along the line I learned.
Yes, a lot of companies are very, very they don't play with their customers.
Mhm.
They're very, very I don't know,
Customer
sorry.
centric.
Yes, customer centric.
Yes.
Sometimes I would have a problem and I will call like some companies, and the way they would talk to me, even I would be like, okay, you know what, it's not even that serious, right? I can't wait. So I get what you're trying to say, but in the middle of all that, everything falling apart, I know that it didn't just go down, like you didn't just leave.
Mhm.
What kept you motivated? What kept you trying to still work at it?
Honestly, family, God, um, yeah, and my wife now. Yeah. We were dating at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think I held on throughout. That would be a lie if I say I did. I
Mhm.
actually fell into depression, a terrible one. I had this couch that was my favorite couch, and I stayed on it for 3 months during my depression period. I was having my bath like once in 2 weeks. I wasn't having showers or anything. You know,
Oh my
I
god,
didn't
that's
want to die because
serious.
I didn't want to like face the stress of dying. But at the same time, I didn't want to leave because like living was stressful, life was stressful. I had failed, everything was like crumbling. So I remember like tax people calling me every day. I became friends with a couple of them after
Mm-hmm.
that time. You know, now I have them as friends because I learned a lot. And
Mm-hmm.
that's something else. Like you've learned that there are like tax laws, policies
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
guard or guide like businesses that you're
Yeah.
in. You know, I learned a lot through the stress I went through. And I also learned like there are some like crazy things in, you know, even in governments, you know, I would have one person call and say, you have to pay this, but you know, you can pay this to get it and we'll help you sort it out. And then you pay that. And then someone else will call and say, so that was Jamu. I am Rabu. It's a different
Oh
payment.
my god.
And, you know, part of the crazy was we had hired this accountant that I trusted because he was recommended by someone. And we were actually trying to pay payee because he said we had to pay. I didn't know nothing about it at the time. So he like structured it out and I just went, this guy's intelligent. He knows what he's doing. And we would like separate the money and he wasn't paying it. So he would like give me false receipts. And I felt like, yeah, we're paying tax, you know, we're fine. It was when they showed up at the office the first time and I was like, guys, don't worry. We have everything. And
Oh
then
my
I brought
god.
it out and they were like, no,
You
this
got
is not what it looks
scammed.
like. And at the time we had fired this guy because we found out he was like trouble, you know, so we couldn't find him. None of his numbers, like nothing. And we were going under. So I had told my investor, you know, about it, but he said, business in Nigeria and getting funding like in specific ways, you have people who are used to doing business where when they put money,
Mm-hmm.
the money should just come back,
Mhm.
right? And let's look at like the tech space here. How many businesses in tech, actual tech, actually get their money back? It's not happening like that. That's anywhere, not just here, right? The
Yeah.
reality of the business is not like money in and money out. It doesn't work like that. And but that was what we thought it was going to be. So since it did happen, our investor said, I'm not putting money again. You guys should like sort yourself out. And we had this AI we were working on. This was before like AI was a thing here.
Mm-hmm.
And we were driven by the idea that if we built this, I still believe in that idea
Mhm.
anyways, that if we built this, it was going to change a lot and we were going to sell it and it was going to be a game changer. We were so confident that I went to the bank and I took a loan and I didn't take it in the name of the company. I took it in my name and then I took my own money and put together and I ran the company for another 6 months without funding. So now I had everything into it. And in 6 months, it looked like we were almost done and someone got us this bank that was going to like buy our AI. We were super excited. I knew that my investment was about to pay off. And when the bank people call, I'll tell them, don't worry, I'm about to hammer. You guys should calm down. You know, I was that confident. And then this executive said, okay, we've seen what your AI can do. Can we see the code to be sure that it makes sense? And I was gullible and I was desperate. And I was like, yeah, sure, send them the codes. I didn't know you don't do stuff like that. So we sent them the codes and everything. And they called us back. Like, they didn't call us. I think we called them back like several weeks later. I called our guy in there and like, no one is coming back to us. And he goes, yeah, the market is not ready for tech. You know, you guys are like, you know, it's good that you guys are dreaming, but it's not realistic. And 3 months later, they released an AI model. By this time we had gone under. I could not like keep going. I had lost all my money. I told my friends, so I'd like before this time I had fired the people I hired for no good reason. So now I had good hands, but I didn't have money to like run with this good hands. So I had to tell them, guys, you know, we have to close shop. I will keep building the AI from home. Everyone that is willing to help me build from home, but like we can't continue. We can't run anything, you know. And those that were going to do it agreed. The others that said they needed a job, I helped a friend like who needed a job because I knew I wasn't going to be able to take a job at that time. I wasn't in the right headspace. I just wanted to build this model and finish. And it was within that period someone called me that this bank has released an AI. Doesn't it look familiar? And I looked at it and I was like, isn't that our Claire? Oh my goodness, it's our Claire. And I knew it was game over as I had been beaten. And I think that was what like took me down, like led me to depression. I realized the business world is a crazy world. It's a dog-eat-dog world. There is knowledge required. There's insight required. All is fair as long as you do not know the law. And those were like lessons I started learning. Like, okay, but it was not a good lesson for me because I wasn't prepared at the time and I was really young. And so my couch became my friend. My girlfriend, who is now my wife, would like show up and tell me, you can do it, get up, let's do this. In fact, I remember one month where the little money I had left, I wanted to pay people to like close the last month. I couldn't pay one person. She took her salary and gave to me to pay that person, like her salary for the month. And I paid one of my staff. So like that was how we could close shop.
Oh my God. This story is giving me like so many emotions. Like, honestly, I know you've explained everything properly. So I know that this is not village people. But in my head, I'm just thinking, oh, village people. Oh my God, village people.
Yeah.
I'm struck. Because it just felt like you were just at the end. You were at the finish line and then they took it from you.
I gave it away.
Well,
I was careless.
Yes, but they still took it. They took it, yes. Well, but oh my God, this story is crazy. This story is crazy. Okay, so let's move on. You just said that it's the failure that spurred you to success in the tech ventures that you're into now. Mm-hmm. So could you tell me about what you're doing right now?
Okay, quite a couple of things, to be honest. I think when I started offering freelance digital services again, I set up a company to help me offer those services, and I started building solutions for people, tech solutions for people. I decided to like look at the external market. So instead of building for just the Nigerian market, I wanted to build for global market. So I would reach out to people or tell anyone who's in need of this. So they would give me a project, I would down price it just so I could build. And then when I build the first one and see how competent it was, I would upscale my price so I could, hold myself in or get to a bigger market. Mm-hmm. So I kept doing that. And one of my former employees got this freelance gig with a US company, and they said to him, we need someone who can manage like the Nigerian branch. Do you know anyone? And he had told them no, he can't think of anybody. And that was the period where I would often like do blast with motivations, and that was because whatever was weighing me down, mm-hmm. I would write like a motivation for myself, and then I would send it as a blast. So people thought I was talking to them. I was mm-hmm. more so talking to myself. So it was in the moment where he was having that conversation, I sent out the blast, and he had just said no, and his phone buzzed, and he goes, oh, wait. I have someone, my former boss. I think he'll be good for this role. And they called me up. And I started working for that US company, and it was also retail tech. My background was in retail tech. How failure helped me get that was they had talked to a couple of persons who were obviously more competent mm-hmm. and the likes. Mm-hmm. And when they asked me why I thought I was a good fit, I remember saying to them, well, I know how to lose money. I've done it before. I know what you would do that will make you lose a lot of money. That's mm-hmm. like that's like the one thing no one can take from me. Talk to any other person that's coming for this job. How many of them knows how to lose this amount of money? And they freaked out. It's like, I know everything you would do wrong. I know how you would do it. And that's my strength. That's my selling point. I understand people too. I understand mm-hmm. how the mind works. I spent years understanding people's mind and taking it in. And it was like that field experience that I was talking about. And then I explained the different type of engineers I had worked with over time. And I remember the person interviewing said, stop. And then he took his notes and went, start again. I want to start taking notes. So we spent the next hour with me lecturing everything they needed to know. And they just got back to me and said, we don't know if we can afford to pay you, but please, will you come? I was like, sure, obviously. And I started with that. Then I went on to another company in the US, mm-hmm. Where we started building solutions for analysis and mm-hmm. creating analytical data for clients in marketing, in retail, in innovation tech. Now I'm building for CX, also another company based in the US. We're building for CX, that's customer experience, building mm-hmm. solutions that would ensure that customer voice is well heard. Mm-hmm. within this period, I've also played in augmented reality. I've played in NFTs. I've played in animation. And yeah, so those are the things I'm doing now. Basically, everything I thought, okay, we could play with at a different point in time, I just tried to get my hands dirty with them.
I think that's so impressive. I remember you were talking about how you used to send all these motivational blasts to people and that got you your job. I know that you have like a Medium page where you share insights and you talk about your experiences. How does it feel to connect with people like that? Because I see a pattern. I see your mom sending you scriptures that helped you. I see that you taking that and sending it as a blast to people. And now with your Medium, you share insights and experiences. Is that something that you're doing in like community management and all of that?
Yeah, interesting. So I have an academy, also a community called the Morpheus Academy. I think I started it last year, where for a brief moment I was out of a job and I wanted to come back into the market. And I had a certain idea of what the market was like. And you would ask people and then they would tell you how much they were hiring for you. Like, who takes this amount? Why would anyone take this amount? And those people will make you feel like they're helping your life, if you take the job. And I started talking to people, so I made a list where I took note. And I think I talked to about 100 different people or more, asking them, people in the job market, what's the price range? Why people, what are you experiencing? And I realized that there was one key thing, the fact that there was a low, I wouldn't say there are no jobs here, but first, the skill competency of people are not so strong, right? You have a lot of people playing on low level, medium level skill sets, especially in tech. So people in the market know this, so they want to hire them for very low amounts. And even the ones that are higher grade, because there are limited jobs in that field, they would take it because everyone wants to survive. So I remember thinking, imagine if I could train these 100 people, all of them learn the exact same thing, like whatever I spent the last 15 years learning, if I could train them in 3 months, learn it all, and they now get jobs abroad, and whether they're here locally, what it means is they can pull in foreign currency into our economy, boost our economy. Their relatives now have access to money thanks to them. They have friends who they can now hire because they could start independent projects. And I started this free community to do this. Now we've trained close to 1,000 people in that year. And we have a community of over 800 people strong. And I spend my nights with these people. Most of them, we teach them product management, we teach them software engineering, QA, just to ensure that they can learn the skills. And the target is not like people who are up there. We want people who have zero knowledge, but they really want to learn and they want to upskill, because they learn this and it will really change the dynamics, because they are no longer trapped in, our world. They now have access to like global market they can tap into. They could get global jobs, and when they do that, it takes time obviously, but if they grow their competency very high, they can attract the right kind of people, and with that we could literally be saving the economy without doing so much. So that's what we're doing.
You guys, Scott is dropping hints. Is like everything you're saying is blowing my mind, because I genuinely think that a lot of what's wrong with our society right now is the fact that we don't have access to certain information. Like, once you inform people and you allow them to understand that if you have this information, it would basically just better your life.
True.
And we're also very scared to talk about money as a society, where we're like, oh, I'm going to keep my, what I'm earning secret. But it is what is going to allow you to get that. You can be earning more money. What you're earning is not the best job you can be doing. And I think that you're doing such a wonderful job with Morpheus Academy, right?
Thank you. Yeah.
So you guys, Morpheus Academy, in case you want to learn anything, please just find Scott. So you mentioned the Morpheus Academy, where you teach people how to improve their lives. Can you tell me one essential lesson that you share with your students? One thing.
Okay, so the academy is a practical academy. So we mostly focus on the tech skills. If there's any takeaway, it's the ideology of 1 teaches 10, 10 teaches 100, 100 teach 1,000. I think that philosophy is kind of like what I kind of repeat the most. That because it's free. the academy is completely free. And at the end of the cohort, we would give out a laptop to our best graduating students. And sometimes we like give other form of incentive. So like you're being paid to learn in a way. So we want them to understand that like, you see this thing you've gotten for free that you committed your time. When you finally get up there, don't say, oh, do you know how hard it took me to learn this thing? Like remember that someone gave you time. So give someone else time too. Because that's kind of like how we spread the insights. So
yeah. So if you had to share one word of wisdom, or if you had one mantra, what would it be?
I would steal this one. I think I have several quotes that are mine, but this one I would steal from Churchill. I think it's Winston Churchill. He said, success is not final, failure is not fatal. It's what we do afterwards that matters. I think that's the one I would go with. Like, yeah.
It's very. I've never heard that one before, but that's
he
something
he
to
said
think
it
about.
when they were about to destroy England. So
Okay, so my final question, right? What would you say that are the three most important things to know for founders watching, or new startup founders? What are the three most important things to know, or lessons that they need to know as a founder?
Sometimes you're your own problem. The founders get carried away with the fact that they founded the company, it's their idea. There's a reason why they are experts in several fields and you are not that. So get proper experts. So sometimes you're on your own problem. So get out of the way when you need help. Learn policies. There are policies in different sectors, from government, state government, federal government, the industry you're playing in. Understand those policies. Many people just want to start something and tell themselves, when we grow, we'll understand it. But you see, when you start like learning policies, which I think that would help my third one, when you start learning the policies that guide you, you can play with that as you expand. You know, you have industry insights, right? It could come through mentorship. It could come through asking questions or reading. The third one would be structure. People tell themselves that structure is meant for large organizations. I believe structure is meant for everyone. Like even your daily life, whether you observe it or not, it is structured. You just probably take the structure for granted. So if businesses or founders learn to put structure in place from the beginning, it would help. It will prepare them for expansion. And even when they fail, there's a contingency for failure. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much, Scott. It has really been inspirational. It has been inspiring. I've learned a lot, and I'm sure like our viewers have learned a lot as well, because you've just been dropping gems on gems.
I hope so.
And no, it's true. And I really, really appreciate the fact that you were able to share your story like completely with us. And the most important thing that I learned was, when you know how to fail, you know how to succeed.
Sure.
And that's just so inspiring. So thank you for coming on our podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we've wrapped up today's episode of Limitless by Gray. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Scott, for coming on our podcast. Please like, share, subscribe, comment. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you. Bye.